Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving into another explainer, and we're tackling something that usually stresses homeowners out big time. We're going to break down the deck building process in Winston-Salem and the Piedmont Triad into an exact science. To do this, we're pulling our source material straight from the absolute pros over at Decked Out of the Triad. So if you've ever wondered how these incredible backyard transformations actually happen from the ground up, you are in exactly the right place. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this quote right here, because it absolutely hits the nail on the head. You know how construction projects have this terrible reputation for giving people major anxiety and unexpected headaches? Well, why is that? Mostly, it's just the fear of the unknown. When you actually know what's coming next, when you can accurately predict the steps, that anxiety pretty much just vanishes. And that predictability is the absolute key to eliminating homeowner stress.
To eliminate those unknowns, let's look at the roadmap. We're going to walk chronologically through the 5 exact phases of a professional build. First, the initial site visit. Second, design and material choices. Third, navigating local permits. Fourth, the construction phase. And finally, the final walkthrough.
All right, phase 1, the initial site visit. Now, every successful build actually starts with just a simple conversation. According to our sources, owner Steve Peterson meets you, the homeowner, in person. And listen, this is not some high-pressure sales pitch. It's a really practical, necessary diagnostic step. He needs to understand your budget, how you intend to use the space, and importantly, he's got to evaluate the environment. They're actively analyzing things like where are your exterior doors positioned, what's the natural grade or slope of your yard, how much sun does the area get during the day, and precisely how is this new structure going to safely connect to your house.
Now, what's genuinely fascinating about this is how much your specific local town dictates the actual engineering. You can't just slap a cookie-cutter deck on any lot. For instance, if you're in Clemens and your yard gets that brutal, heavy afternoon western sun, you're going to need heat and UV-resistant materials, period. Or, say you're over in Advance with a heavily shaded lot. That demands completely different material choices. And if you've got a super sloped backyard in Kernersville, well, that means you're going to require significantly more structural framing beneath the surface. The environment literally dictates the build.
Moving right along to phase 2, design and material choices.
So once you've looked through their massive photo portfolio of past projects and you've kind of locked in your exact vision, the single most common question pops up. What exactly is the difference between a composite deck and a wood deck? It's a fantastic question, so let's break down the practical answers.
It really comes down to a trade-off. Pressure-treated wood, it's definitely going to cost you less upfront. But, and it's a big but, to survive North Carolina's incredibly humid summers and super wet spring seasons, you've got to maintain it. We're talking staining or sealing it every 2 to 3 years. On the flip side, you've got composite decking, like Trex. Sure, it costs more at the starting line, but it needs absolutely zero staining or sealing to survive that exact same harsh climate. So you're basically weighing your upfront budget against your long-term tolerance for maintenance.
Okay, so your materials are picked out. The very next question on everyone's mind is usually, wait, do I actually need a permit to build a deck in Winston-Salem? The short answer? Yes, absolutely. Which brings us perfectly to phase 3, navigating local permits.
So the crucial point here is you don't need to panic about the bureaucracy. Yes, permits are required, but when you work with a pro, you never actually have to navigate the local building authority on your own. Decked Out of the Triad handles the entire permit process on your behalf. You don't have to sit on hold with the city, you don't have to hunt down application forms, and you certainly don't have to take time off work to coordinate with county inspectors. The whole shebang is completely managed for you.
All right, on to phase 4, the construction phase.
Paperwork is officially stamped, materials are ordered, and the real physical transformation finally begins. And here is a huge differentiator. You are going to experience exactly 0 handoffs to some unknown crew. The source material makes it incredibly clear that owner Steve Peterson is on site and actively managing the build right from day one. You aren't being passed off to strangers. The exact same person who evaluated your yard and helped you pick your materials is the one overseeing the actual construction.
Naturally, the second those hammers start swinging, every single homeowner eagerly wants to know, how long is this installation actually going to take? And this slide beautifully illustrates the realistic timeframes. Now keep in mind, the first chunk of time isn't actual building. Getting those Forsyth County permit approvals can take anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks, totally depending on how backed up the permit office is. But once you get that green light, standard physical deck construction usually just takes 1 to 3 weeks, so you're looking at finishing up around week 7 to 9 overall. Of course, if you're going big, adding screen porches or full outdoor rooms, that timeline is naturally going to extend a bit.
But what happens if you change your mind halfway through? This is a huge source of anxiety for people, right? The fear of hidden fees, scope creep, and getting a massive unexpected bill at the end.
The simple solution here is just total transparency. Because your estimate was provided after the site review and material selection, there are no wild guesses built into your initial number. But let's say halfway through you decide you want an extra staircase or you want to expand the footprint. Direct communication is paramount. Any mid-build changes are discussed directly with you before a single adjustment to the cost or timeline is made. Nothing, and I mean nothing, changes without you knowing exactly why and formally agreeing to it.
Let's move on to the last step, Phase 5, the final walkthrough.
The tools might be packed up, but the job isn't quite over yet. This final walkthrough is the crucial stage where the finished build is meticulously confirmed against the original design. Any tiny remaining details are resolved right then and there. And most importantly, this is where you, the homeowner, provide your full sign-off. The contractor simply does not consider the job complete, and the handoff doesn't happen until this thorough check is entirely finished to your satisfaction.
Plus, there's one last incredibly important layer of security. Because this was a permitted build, there's an official final inspection by the local building authority. They come out to confirm that every single piece of work meets strict North Carolina residential building codes. This official step guarantees your long-term safety and legal protection long after the crew goes home. Honestly, it just cements the immense value of hiring a true, accountable professional who does things strictly by the book.
So, stepping back, let's look at the big picture again. 1. The initial site visit. 2. Design and materials. 3. Permit processing. 4. Construction. 5. Walkthrough and sign-off. Seeing it clearly laid out like this really proves how a predictable, structured process takes a potentially daunting, chaotic project and turns it into a totally manageable, actually exciting reality.
If you're out in the Triad and you're ready to get started, you can reach out to them directly. They do it all, from trellises and pergolas to sunrooms and totally custom composite decks. You can hit up Steve Peterson at Decked Out of the Triad via phone at 336-940-5927 or shoot an email to steve@deckedoutofthetriad.com. They're based right in Advance, North Carolina, and they proudly serve all the surrounding communities.
We've laid out the entire blueprint for you today. The phases are crystal clear, the timelines are realistic, and we've completely decoded the materials. So, now that those scary unknowns are gone, what is stopping you from building your ultimate North Carolina backyard oasis? Thanks so much for hanging out and learning with us today. We'll catch you on the next Explainer.